Okay, this was really interesting. We were on Tuesday 20 minutes ago and Facebook was being weird. So I hope that this is helpful to you. My name is Lauren Bretz. If we don't know each other, I hope this is live right now. I'm really excited to talk about the respiratory system tonight. This is kind of a big deal for me because it was such a big part of my mothering journey early on. Wonder if there are any comments. Okay, can't see any comments. That's fine. Okay, I'm gonna text Jess. Okay. So anyway, I'm just gonna get started. Tried to go live on Facebook several times, wouldn't work. Doing this, love having my peeps with me live usually, but we'll just keep going with it. Just wanted to give oh, you're watching. Fun, Jess. Good. All right, just want to offer a quick disclaimer. First of all, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren Bretz. I am a wife and a mom. I live in Central Florida. I love Young Living so much and love our team so much. Have been doing Young Living for 6 years. Actually, I think today is my 6-year oil anniversary. Oh my gosh, or maybe it's the 18th. For sure need to go and look and figure that out. But anyway, I got the oils because of my son's respiratory system. Really needed some major help in that area. So really excited to chat about it tonight. I'm gonna try to do it 2 ways. The very first thing is I'm going to try to give you really simple instruction, and then I'm gonna go into the water hose effect where I give you lots and lots of information. First of all, I am not a doctor. I'm not an expert. I am not trained in all the things. So please do not take what I'm saying as biblical truth. I've done a ton of research and had a ton of experience with my son Peter's health journey and also coaching others with their respiration and their breathing. But please just know that I'm just like you. I have done tons of research out of desperation and need. So you can absolutely, take control of your health and be empowered and find the resources that you need to get the help that you need and the people that you need to get the help that you need. So my son Peter is 13 now, and when I was pregnant with him, I was super unhealthy. We had a very, I would say, pretty traumatic birth experience. I was able to have him I was able to labor without medication or pain relief, but he had to be delivered with a vacuum because of many factors. Probably didn't have to happen that way, but anyway, he had to be delivered with a vacuum. Was pretty traumatic after he was born. What happened? I lost a ton of blood, hemorrhaged, passed out, yada yada. It just was a tough start for him, and I was a really anxious first-time mom. He was a surprise pregnancy for me. I had just gotten married, surprise pregnancy. I was very shocked. I think my emotions were not really doing great while I was pregnant with him. And then I had pretty bad postpartum depression. So his start in life was rough. I didn't hold him as much as some of my other babies. And I always, years later, I worried that he would have attachment issues. Just being very honest with you. And you know what? He is a really amazing young man. Loves hugs, loves connection, loves sharing, loves talking. He is a really special, wonderful 13-year-old young man. So if you ever worry, moms, that you're messing up your children, I don't have huge fruit. He's not in his 20s and 30s and 40s, not this successful man. I don't even know how we define success anymore. Sex. But just know that even if you feel like you're like the worst first-time mom ever, your child does not have to be stuck, and neither do you. So just want to make that really clear. And God can redeem anything. And there's no sickness or trauma or struggle that is too big for him to fix or too big for him to redeem. And sometimes he doesn't fix things in the way that we think he should, but he's good and he's able. So Peter, around the age of 2, started having asthma. He had already had several trips to the hospital for croup, had steroids, epinephrine, the nebulizer with albuterol. So by the age of 2, he was diagnosed with asthma, allergies. He could not eat most foods. It was really, really difficult. I was trying to figure out how to feed him. He was allergic to almost everything. It was just one thing after the other. His breathing was often a problem. He had athlete's asthma. He had really severe pet allergies. We didn't even have pets, but if we would go to somebody's house who did, he could not breathe for days on end. His asthma would crop up at all kinds of different moments. So I really feel like I spent the bulk of the first, after he was about 7 months old was when we first had the food allergy issues. But for sure, after his asthma really kicked into gear around age 2, I feel like I spent a good portion of 6 years trying to help him to breathe normally, consistently. I used natural remedies, traditional medicine. I worked with his diet. I worked on cleansing him. This was all before oils. I worked very hard to help him to breathe. And I know what it's like to be a mom freaking out because you're afraid your child's gonna die because they're just gonna stop breathing. So if you are a mom through the screen right now, through this little hole right there, and you really struggle with panic and anxiety and fear and worry and doubt when it comes to one of your children or some of your children who have issues with breathing, I get you. And I understand how that feels. And even for me, being a Christ follower, I knew I could trust the Lord and I would cry out to him and pray. But there is no feeling like when you're watching your child struggle to breathe and you hear that squeaking sound or the wheezing or the, like, it's terrifying. So I feel you. Oh, good. There are some people on here. I see that. Wonderful. So, so what is the respiratory system? I have a really great link. I will put it in the comments of this video when I'm done. The respiratory system is a series of organs responsible for taking in oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide. And we really, really need to pay attention that the respiratory system is not just about breathing in and getting the air you need, but it's also about expelling what you don't want. The primary organs of the respiratory system are the lungs, which carry out this exchange of gases. However, there are other organs that are connected to the respiratory system. I'm gonna talk about that in just a minute. The human body needs oxygen. As we breathe, oxygen enters the nose or the mouth and passes through the sinuses. So the sinuses are connected to the respiratory system. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for your comment. And the sinuses help to regulate the temperature and the humidity of the air that we breathe. The trachea is also a part of the respiratory system. It's called the windpipe. It filters the air that is inhaled. And then the bronchial tubes are also part of the respiratory system, and they lead to the lobes of the lungs. There's actually the diaphragm. The diaphragm down in your belly is also part of your respiratory system. And it is really important for breathing. We really need to make sure that we're breathing from our diaphragm. If you are breathing from your chest a lot, it means that you're stressed. So you want to make sure you're always pulling air from your diaphragm and breathing out that way. Okay, so there's lots more to say about the respiratory system, but I'm just going to stop there. But remember, The respiratory system is not just about breathing in. You want to also breathe out, okay? It's really important to expel toxins. On Chris Beat Cancer's Square One Healing Protocol, one of the things that he teaches cancer patients to do, or anyone, is to make sure that they are exhaling longer than they're inhaling. And he does this really specific breathing pattern where you inhale through your nose and then you like blow really hard and exhale as much as you can to expel as many toxins as you can. Really fascinating. Okay, so let me give you some really simple steps on how to boost your respiration and your respiratory system. Really simple steps, okay? Number one, go toxin-free in your home. Remove all Glade plugins, candles, Lysol spray, Windex, your toilet bowl cleaners, any of your household cleaning products that are toxic, made with toxic chemicals, remove them. Or especially your candles. Candles put off very toxic paraffins and chemicals into the air that are very tough on your respiratory system. Remove them. Switch to diffusing, switch to the Thieves line and Young Living. Even your shampoos, any fragrances you have, anything that has fragrance, synthetic fragrance, get it out of your house. It will enhance your breathing and your respiratory system so much. It will relieve the toxic load that is going through your body, through your breathing, by just removing things like that. So simple. And your detergent, switch your laundry detergent. Anything that has fragrance, get rid of it. Okay, this is kind of a big one. And as I give you these ideas to help to boost your respiratory system, remember that this is a one at a time, step-by-step situation, okay? Don't feel like you have to do all of this at once. You cannot change everything at once. I did this in steps. I did not do all of this at once. Something that's super helpful for your respiratory system is to work towards an anti-inflammatory diet, like going gluten-free and or dairy-free. Just those two things, or sugar-free. Those three things alone will help your breathing tremendously. So if you are really suffering with respiratory issues right this minute, or you have someone in your home who is really suffering, even just going on a fruit and vegetable, almond milk, no more gluten-free pasta, gluten-free bread situation would be tremendous for you. You will notice a huge difference. If you can get off of commercial milk products and switch to raw milk, or just no milk at all, or just almond milk, you will notice a huge difference in your breathing. Third, enzymes. Enzymes are so important for your respiratory system, making sure that your gut is in good working order. Young Living has a supplement called Allerzyme that is wonderful for people to support their guts and their respiratory system, although any enzymes would be incredible. As you are helping your digestive system to digest your food and absorb nutrients, it will take pressure off of your lungs and the rest of your respiratory system. All right, next, minerals. All right, listen to this. Years and years ago, when my son Peter was having to use an albuterol inhaler regularly, I was trying to figure out a way to help him without using his inhaler, because his inhaler had such bad side effects. And I noticed on the inhaler, it said it had magnesium in it. And I was like, what? Why does this have magnesium? So I started Googling. There is tons of research out there that asthmatics and people with allergy issues and respiratory problems are very deficient in magnesium and trace minerals. I have several articles about that from PubMed. I'm going to include those as well in the description of this video, so you can click on them and read them. But minerals, so Young Living products like Mega Cal, Super Cal, Mineral Essence, making sure that you're eating foods that are rich in minerals. Ninja Red, very high in magnesium and potassium and trace minerals because of the Ningxia wolfberry. There are not added minerals to the drink, but the Ningxia wolfberry is one of the highest fruits in magnesium and potassium. So good for the lungs. Okay, next, vitamin D. There are also articles all over that have been scientifically researched to prove that vitamin D is very important. So Omega-Jis, Mind-Wise, or a good vitamin D supplement. All right, liver cleansing. This is really important for your breathing. Your liver can be overrun with heavy metals, toxins from medications, the air you breathe, the chemicals you've used on your skin, vaccines, prescription medications, stress, anything that has caused your liver to be toxic. Cleansing your liver can be really helpful for your respiratory system. All right, and then last, address your emotions, and I'm gonna go into that in just a few minutes. First, I wanna say for the bite-size people, here are my favorite products these are my favorite oils for respiratory support, all right? Frankincense, which is in the starter kit. The Young Living's premium starter kit with essential oils is incredible. It is basically like a respiratory kit. Lavender, lemon, and peppermint, raven, frankincense, thieves, okay? This is an incredible place to start for your respiratory system. I love hyssop. I love using hyssop on the chest with a warm washcloth, very soothing. Myrtle essential oil, which is in RC, the blend RC. Dorado Azul, huge one. If you have respiratory issues, you want to get Dorado Azul in your house. Melissa, blue cypress, Tsuga, which is spelled Tsuga, and RC and Raven. RC is actually not my favorite blend for respiratory stuff. That doesn't mean it's not good for you. It just didn't work for us. The eucalyptus oils, which are blended together in RC with a couple other oils, you want to actually watch out for your eucalyptus, because eucalyptus is an expectorant, which is really helpful when you've got stuff stuck. But sometimes you don't want to bring up so much coughing when you're in respiratory distress. So I always go for Dorado Azul, frankincense, Melissa, and blue cypress. And then the raindrop technique. Raindrop technique is incredible for helping the respiratory system. I probably can't even be talking about all of this. Anyway, all right. So for those of you who needed the bite-size pieces of respiratory system, there you go. All right. For those of you who want the water hose, I'm just going to keep going. Make sure that you're looking in your reference materials. I can't say this I'm not in a private group. Make sure you're looking in your reference materials for recipes with essential oils for the lungs and things that go with that. Okay? Can't say anything else. All right, the Aroma Luxe diffuser. Young Living's Aroma Luxe diffuser is the only diffuser that we have that diffuses directly from the bottle. I love using this diffuser when people in my home are needing an extra concentration of essential oils. Diffused. That's all I'm going to say about that. Breathe it in. Okay. I love using essential oils in a little children's tent. So you can diffuse essential oils into a tent and have kids lay in the tent. Very helpful for breathing in those oils. Hot, steamy showers, also very helpful. Okay, let's talk through the emotions that are associated with your respiratory system. There are a lot, so make sure you get your pen and paper down. I'm going to give you very specific instruction on how to clear your lungs from emotions that are in your respiratory system. Let's start with the lungs. Are you ready for this? I'm going to give you emotions that can be found in your lungs and then a few oils that may help to clear. those emotions, okay? Number one, feeling unmotivated can be in your lungs. And the oil that is suggested for that is lime. Feelings of rejection can be stored in your lungs. And the oil for that is purification. Feelings of being unappreciated, and that's Juvaflex for your lungs. And then there are a couple other emotions and not specific essential oils that go with them, but I'm going to show you if you struggle with any of these emotions, I'm going to show you a technique on how to clear them, okay? Dogmatic position is an emotion that can be in your lungs. Dogmatic position is just as it sounds. It's when you're feeling very dogmatic about something that you probably shouldn't be. Feeling very strongly that you're right, or that, yeah, just dogmatic position, very important. Perfectionism, feelings of perfectionism can be stored in the lungs. Defensiveness, obligation and guilt. So feeling obligated, feeling guilty can be stored in the lungs. Self-hatred, feeling invalidated, betrayal, grief is stored in the lungs. Sadness, yearning, confusion, unbelief, anguish, trouble letting go, and loneliness. Now, some of these emotions can also be stored in the large intestine. They can go between the lungs and the large intestine, but all of these emotions can be stored in the lungs. So the way you wanna first, if you feel like you may struggle with any of these emotions, obviously you would want to go to the Lord if you don't know him. He's great, super helpful. He's very healing. But also you can, you may not know which lung these emotions are in, but if you ever want to work on emotional clearing with your lungs, if you want to clear, I guess you and I are mirrored. So if you want to clear from your left lung, you actually put your hand in between where your shoulder hits your torso here. So if you're in right lung or left lung, we're mirrored, right? Left lung, and you're going to put your hand on the front of your head. If you are struggling with this being a continuous emotion. So if you're feeling really sad, and it might be, or maybe you're experiencing grief. Let's go to grief. Maybe you've experienced terrible loss, whether it's somebody who has died, or a marital separation, or a divorce, or a child leaving home. You know, you're maybe going through empty nesting stage of life. Maybe you're a mom whose 5-year-old just went to kindergarten. Whatever it is, you're experiencing some kind of loss. Maybe your church just split, or whatever it is, and you're struggling with a lot of grief. A lot of people who struggle with grief will notice that they cough a lot, or they have congestion often. That usually means that they have grief stored in their lungs. So to clear it, you're gonna do left lung, front of your head, and you're gonna think about grief and offering it to the Lord, or letting it go from your lung, and you can do the other side too. And you're gonna use your intention for the lung and continuous emotion and grief, and that's how you work to clear it. You also can use your oils. So many oils. Let's see, what is the essential oil for grief? There's so many essential oils for grief. So many oils for all of these. Grief, joy, obviously. We knew that, right? So you could put joy over your lungs and work on clearing. This is not considered a detox. Grief is not a toxic emotion, okay? Grief is a normal, human, beautiful, important emotion to feel. But sometimes you want to clear your emotions so that you can actually function. Grief especially can be so overwhelming and debilitating, and it can be really helpful to use some oils, do some clearing, just so you can move on with your day, right? Sometimes I have to sit with the Lord and clear my emotions, offer them to him, and just tell him, like, this is how I'm feeling. I'm really overwhelmed by it. Will you please just take it? I'm going to give it to you and trust you with it. And I want to deal with it in a healthy way. But right now, I need to, you know, whatever. So you don't want to let those emotions get stuck. Okay, they can make you super sick. Even they're not toxic, but you can get sick when you're not in touch with your heart, right? You want to guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Okay, next, your bronchioles. Sorrow can be in your bronchioles. The oil for that is acceptance, using acceptance. Disgust can be stored in your bronchioles, and Australian blue is the essential oil to help with that. And then disappointment can be stored in your bronchioles, and the oil for that is joy. Okay, next, oh, and your bronchioles. Oh, I don't know where to clear bronchioles. You probably just use the lungs. Okay, sinuses. Sinuses, the emotion that can be stuck in your sinuses is called stuck, feeling stuck. Have you ever felt your sinuses and they're like all stuck? That is actually the emotion that can be stored in your sinuses. And the oil that is supposed to help with that is lemon. If you put lemon on your face, make sure you dilute it. It's really strong, and don't go out into the sun, direct sunlight immediately after that or soon after that. Okay, your trachea, also part of your respiratory system. The emotion that can be stuck in your trachea is being held back. The feeling of something's holding me back. I'm being held back. And the oil for that is release. So you would just want to put release right over your trachea. Okay, your diaphragm can hold emotions of despair and resignation, like just kind of giving up. So the oil to help to release despair is 3 Wise Men, which was our oil of the month a couple months ago. And the oil to help with resignation is Valor. And then the last part of your respiratory system is called your capillaries. And the spot to put your oils would be right here at the base of your lungs. That's where your capillary alarm point is for your emotions. And the emotion that can be stored there is anxiety. And the oil to use for that is joy. So you can put joy right there over at the bottom of your lungs. Your emotions are so important. I know that just took me forever to explain all of that. But we are so unaware of how much our emotions affect us. Another emotion that has a lot to do with asthma is fear. A lot of people who struggle with asthma also suffer from a lot of fear, the emotion of fear. So, but that wasn't in any of my books. I read that in a book years ago about my son. Breathing's important, and breathing has so much to do with your emotions, right? Have you ever noticed that you get short of breath when you're nervous or upset? When you are crying a lot, you're not really breathing as deeply. Make sure that you're really paying attention to that. Sometimes something that can be so helpful, especially if you're older, is learning how to do deep breathing exercises to really exercise those lungs and your bronchioles and your trachea. Can be super helpful. Even just drinking a lot of water. If you are dehydrated, your cells shrink kind of like raisins a little bit, and it can really cause your breathing to suffer. So if you are struggling with your respiratory system, make sure that you're drinking a lot of water. Even just water alone will help with your respiratory system and your breathing. Make sure you're drinking your lemon in your water, or lime or orange or whatever essential oils that you love to put in your water, and make sure you're drinking lots of Ningxia. Okay, if there are any questions, feel free to comment, especially if you're watching the replay. Thank you so much for catching this live. I'm so sad I couldn't go live on Facebook tonight, but I'm glad this worked out. Thank you for those of you who are joining me live. Please make sure that you share this with a friend. This will be posted to YouTube when I'm done, so feel free to share it. as much as you'd like. I hope this is helpful to somebody. There is hope for your breathing and for your respiratory system. I believe with my whole heart that you can really, really see major changes. My 13-year-old is not on any kind of medication at all and hasn't been for many years now, and does really well with his breathing. His asthma has basically been almost non-existent for several years. He still struggles a little bit with pet allergies, but he does really well otherwise. Hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you, and I